Stephen A. Smith on Zion's huge improvement, and Stephen A. Smith walking back his comments. So a couple weeks ago, we covered a story from Stephen A. Smith on when he said Zion was fat. He said Zion was eating New Orleans out of house and home. He said that New Orleans chefs and restaurants applauded Zion when he showed up in their restaurant. We did a full rant against that and how ridiculous it was.
Zion Williamson, it's not about his game. It's about how many burgers he's eating and whether or not he's going to be in shape, or is he going to keep eating McDonald's and have chefs clamoring for him to come to their restaurants.
And now the Pelicans are sweet. Now Zion has been absolutely dominant, and the Pelicans are the talk of the town. And everybody in sports media who has been saying that Zion is eating the city out of food is now having to apologize and having to say that maybe it was a little bit of a whoopsie poopsie, and maybe all those fat jokes were just out of control. So let's hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say and talk about it as only we can do.
Staying in the NBA in the Western Conference, everyone knows I've been quite vocal about the New Orleans Pelicans. In particular, Zion Williamson and his weight. So much so that the team came to his defense on their social media by posting my college scoring averages at Winston-Salem State on X. It was all a lie because I didn't have.
Yeah, this is exactly what we covered. So if you want to see all of that context, video link will be in the description.
Have any damn stats because I got injured and never played, but that's beside the point. Because it's irrelevant today. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to talk about Zion's weight, but more so his play that has sparked the Pelicans to a 40-26 record. They are now holding the 5th spot in the Western Conference with just 16 games remaining in the regular season. Zion Williamson, have you seen him? The brother's averaging nearly 24-7.
Yeah, he's sweet. He's awesome.
They're winning basketball games. They're the #1 team defensively with efficiency. They're one of the very few teams, 5 teams in the NBA, that are both top 11 in offensive and defensive efficiency. Okay? They've been winning basketball games, and they've been beating everybody up while they.
And they just smoked the Clippers at home on a Friday night. I was there. What a game.
They've been doing it. The New Orleans Pelicans are being led by Zion Williamson, who's playing like a #1 overall pick. Much props, much loves to him. We're going to see what he does as the playoffs approach. They've got C.J. McCollum on there. They've got Brandon Ingram on there. They got Valanciunas on there. They've got Herbert Jones on there. They've got size. They've got athleticism. They've got perimeter shooting. They got veteran leadership. They got a man-child in Zion Williamson who looks stealth, like he lost weight. He stayed off the burgers and the steaks. He ain't hiding food under his bed or anything like that from the team. The brother's focused. And that Zion Williamson, I got news for you. The New Orleans Pelicans could go to the finals. I'm not saying they're doing that. I'm not saying they're better than Denver. I'm saying they've been playing exceptionally well, and they have all the pieces in place to make a run. We cannot ignore that. We got to.
So I let him go. Usually I stop and start the video a lot more than that, but I let him go because I was getting a visceral negative reaction in my body. I was getting GERD, I think, some indigestion just listening to this. This is exactly the problem. Like, this is my problem with these kind of shows and this whole hot take thing. We're talking about like 2 weeks ago, maybe. Someone will check the dates. 2-ish weeks ago, all we heard was Zion was fat. Zion was eating nothing but burgers. From Colin Cowherd, from Stephen A. Smith, from everybody. It was Zion's fat, Zion doesn't care, and then it was the typical trope, the typical New Orleans has good food, thus Zion must be exclusively eating jambalaya, crawfish etouffee, and beignets. There's no way you can eat normal food in New Orleans. Doesn't happen. Colin Cowherd said that no one in New Orleans has abs. Colin Cowherd said that everyone just eats jambalaya here. That's all I said. 2 weeks later, we're getting this. 2 weeks later, we're getting respect to Zion. The Pelicans are good. The Pelicans are sweet. So what happened? What exactly happened? Did Zion go on a crash course diet in 2 weeks and all of a sudden changed his game completely? Completely forgetting the fact that last year, the Pelicans were sweet until Zion got hurt. Pelicans were like, they might have been the best team in the West. It might have been the number one record in the West when he got hurt last year. This stop and start thing with Zion's weight is my biggest problem. Zion's been in the league for a long time now. A couple years ago, he was averaging 27 points a game. A couple years ago, he was an all-star. Played 60-something games. All right? This whole idea that if he's doing bad, he's eating jambalaya. If he's doing good, he's on his Peloton and he's lost weight. That's crazy. This is the problem. The problem with this knee-jerk reaction, kind of hot take, not watching the games, just pushing an easy narrative. This is the problem. Because if you're pushing that narrative for clicks and it sounds cool to say that Zion likes beignets and Zion's down at Cafe Du Monde every week, if that sounds cool and the Pelicans win 10 straight games, you look like a fool. And you got to issue an apology like this. You have to read some monologue that sounds like you're giving a eulogy. Or you could just watch the games. Or you could just look at the stats. Watch the games, watch the team, watch them play. And the reaction may be, well, I can't watch every game. Okay, well, don't talk about it. If you're not watching the Pelicans, you're not watching how they play, you're not watching Zion this year, then you have absolutely no room to come on there and be like, oh, yep, talking about the guy who eats nothing but a hamburger helper. I watched Zion all year. Been a season ticket holder for the Pelicans for 3 straight seasons. He has looked the same all year. 25-pound loss, LOL, no, not the case. He has never looked lethargic. He has never looked fat this year. Looked the same. Has played hard all year long. The Pelicans have been good. They dealt with some injuries. Now they got healthy. I mean, they were until Brandon Ingram got hurt. Thank God. Thank you, God. It's only a knee bruise, nothing worse. But up until then, they were healthy. They were winning games. Zion was playing well. Playing the same way he had played all season long. When the in-season tournament in Vegas, they went out there and got embarrassed. If you told me they partied the night before, they didn't take it seriously, whatever, and got embarrassed, I'd believe that, because that's what I thought too. I thought it was an immature team who went out to Vegas, had a little too much fun, got ran out on national TV. But not for a second did I think it was because Zion was going to all these restaurants and eating all this food. It's just such a cartoonish take. It's such a ridiculous take. And you know it's bad when all the same people are saying the same things. When they're all saying burgers here and jambalaya here and etouffee here and all of that. It must be down on Bourbon Street. I mean, we hear it all the time. And this apology, quote, I mean, I guess that's what this is, just proves what I'm saying. It just proves that everything they say is completely dictated by results. We always say the opposite. We always say, just like with the Saints, I will say, I like this move from the Saints. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but that doesn't change the fact that I like it. You know, I can't say things and then a result happens and then I completely go back on what I said just because of the result. I think Zion is good all year long. I have said, man, Zion looks like he's playing pretty good. I think he's playing hard. I think he's playing this. The Pelicans have had bad stretches. Zion has had bad stretches. I don't then all of a sudden say, you know what? Now that I think about it, looks like he's eating too much. And then 3 days later, they win a couple games, and I say, oop, wait a minute. Now he has a couple smoothies. Now he must have had a couple salads. Then he has a bad game. Oop, never mind. He must have switched the salad for the french fries. And then Brandon Ingram has a bad game. Then I say, oop, Brandon Ingram must have been on Bourbon Street last night. And then he has a good game. And I say, oop, wait, Brandon Ingram, he's not on Bourbon Street. He's actually drinking a lot of water and getting sleep. Like, I can't, jumping back and forth like that, because it's just, it's got to be exhausting. I mean, it really does. It has to be exhausting for the host. It has to be exhausting for their audience to go from, I'm supposed to believe Zion's got an eating problem and he's got this issue in New Orleans, and now they're hearing this and it's like, well, wait a minute, what was that all about? You know, it just goes to show exactly what we said the problem was 2 weeks ago in the initial video. That problem has now shown itself right here. It is flowered into this.
I give props where it's due, because Stephen A is a fair-minded individual, and I would never, ever allow my personal disgust with people who tried to troll me to camouflage reality. Reality is New Orleans can beat anybody. Anybody. Or they could lose to anybody if they ain't focused. Acknowledging as much is the fair and righteous thing to do.
But see, that's two separate things. I agree that New Orleans can beat anybody, and I agree that they could lose to anybody. I was there in the building during the Suns series. I was in the building during the Oklahoma City play-in tournament disaster. I watched Chris Paul go 16 for 16 from the field, whatever. I agree. I think the Pels can for sure lose or win. No doubt. But that has nothing to do with Zion's eating. That has nothing to do with the allegations that were made 2 weeks ago that Zion is too busy eating. And the whole issue is his eating. So this part right here is where it's like, you're kind of disguising the actual problem. If there's anything righteous and that you need to acknowledge, was that maybe this whole Zion is being propped up by chefs and Zion can't stay out of the New Orleans restaurants, and that is the big crook. That's the big problem with Zion, is his eating. Because that was the argument 2 weeks ago. So you have to acknowledge that maybe that was a little overblown. And maybe you were taking cheap shots for clicks or for headlines or for funnies or whatever it may be. But that there was actually nothing truthful based in that. That is the actual story here. The story isn't, are the Pelicans good or are they not good? You know, that isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about the claim that Zion is eating way too much because he lives in New Orleans. Like there's no good food in other NBA cities. So this whole thing is just so sad. I couldn't believe this when it came through. Let's see if there's anything else.
And if I'm nothing else, I am fair. If not, dare I say, righteous.
I mean, again, guys, like I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I really don't. I don't know how people are still watching these shows. If you're watching them because you like this, you like the characters, you like the kind of over-the-top narratives, and you like the, you don't want to take sports too seriously, and you're just kind of here for the goofs and the gaffes, and it is what it is. Okay, fine. But we got to quit pretending that ESPN and whatever they're putting on their networks is the best sports information you can get. It's not. I mean, I think we can all agree there. So, I hate to see it go downhill so quickly. And I'm sure when Zion has a bad game, or I'm sure if the Pelicans get bounced in the playoffs, or I'm sure if they get swept, if we're a 4 seed and we get swept in the first round, Zion has a couple awful performances. I can't wait to hear how much weight he gained, or I can't wait to hear how he was at Pesh and he had 4 entrees, or he was at Desi Vegas eating the biggest steak people have ever seen, or he was caught with cinnamon rolls under his bed. I can't wait to hear the stories. I really can't. I can't wait to hear the narrative, and I can't wait to see the Mardi Gras floats and all of that. But it's just the knee-jerk reaction and the, I'm saying these horrible things that probably aren't true and then having to walk those back. But I think we all know that this will be said again. It'll be said again that he is fat. It'll be said again that he's gained weight. It'll be said again that he's eating. It's just ridiculous. But I had to cover it again because we covered the original story. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below where you come down on this. Go Pels. I will see you in the next video.